What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are concluding Mobile Suit Gundam, Space to the End of a Flash. Last time we learned of the 16th Autonomous Corps and the G5 and G4. Ford lured Mallette and the Aksaku into G4's Mega Cannon, but the Gundam overloaded and Luce ended up dying in the process. This time, Ford will help escort Dacia Bakarov to the moon. They will be met with resistance, but the war eventually comes to a close. However, Mallette sorties anyways. Also, we get to see a what-if story if Luce lives. So let's get into this. They begin their escort mission back to Granada. Gems and Zaku's are butting heads. Ford tries to stop them, but a Galgoog separates the two teams. This is Barst. He's tired of this war and ready for retirement. Oh, don't say that. Yesterday they were enemies, and technically still are until that treaty is signed. But now they are working together. It's hard for both sides. Ford's shift is over. On the bridge, Dacia Bakarov knows that Granada still has a fleet of 30 ships. He expects that they will be met with force. Zeon is prepared to fight against their own, if it means ending this war. He wonders if they could hold negotiation under the guise of surrender. Ford comes onto the bridge, steps out of line, and yells, "But what about Luce?" It seems like force is their best bet. It is one of those situations that's necessary, but damn, it must suck to die this late in the game. Miyu wishes Luce could see history in the making. Meanwhile, the Nord fleet preps for battle around the moon. Nord Rangel's plan is to prevent Dacia Bakarov from making it to Luna. Currently, the Battle of Abawaku is about to take place. He believes that they still have a chance to turn the tides, and it isn't time for surrender just yet. They will split into three and slowly encircle the Fetties. On the Thoroughbred, Captain Kilstein recognizes that the fleet is starting to split into three. Ford preps for launch. Miyu reminds them that this will probably be their last battle. He launches and goes to town on Nord's fleet. They concentrate fire on the left side. Ford's Gatling gun is out of ammo. The mobile suits retreat while the Thoroughbred does a long-range bombardment. They assume one fleet is trying to flank them. Dacia's Chevet pushes through with Ford and the mobile suits, but the fleet they assumed would flank actually pulled back to protect Granada. They saw through their plan. It looks like they will have to fight their way through. Before they engage, Nord contacts Kilstein and calls for a ceasefire. He will even allow Dacia to go to the moon. They just received word that Abawaku has fallen. Giran and Caecilia are dead, and the Zabis are no more. This war is over. They accept the ceasefire. However, Mallette says to hell with that. A relief comes over everyone on the battlefield, with the exception of Mallette, who tells his mechanic what's the deal with the Aksaku. He tells him that there are limiters put on the unit, but they can be disabled. Zeon and the Federation begin a joint rescue operation while Dacia heads to Granada. Mallette kills a doctor after forcing him to make a banned drug that boosts awareness at the detriment of the mind. He launches against Nord's will. They have to stop him at all cost. One poor Zeon sucker goes to stop his squad, but dies immediately. Mallette takes the drug. Probably should have done that earlier. Barst and his Galgoog goes in to attack the Aksaku, but he is too slow and Mallette takes down Barst. Barst, who is one day away from retirement. Ford recognizes that this pilot is moving different than before. The two clash once again, with the limiters off and the drugs. Never forget the drugs. Mallette has the advantage. Ford hears Luce in his head telling him to keep his cool, and that he's got this. A mini-coup breaks out. Mallette keeps getting hits on the Gundam, but Ford can sense his movements. The Gundam shield is sliced in half. Mallette moves in, but expecting an attack, Ford stabs his beam saber right into the cockpit. He was able to predict his movement. Mallette goes down. Bye, Mallette. You weren't the worst villain, but you're definitely close to the bottom, buddy. What remains of his squad surrenders. Their mission is complete, and they head towards the moon. January 1st, UC-0080. EFF and Zeon enter into a peace treaty. The war has come to an end, and that will conclude Space to the End of a Flash. But let's dive into Volume 3, which shows us something different. Ford has a dream where Luce dies in an explosion. He wakes up. It was all a dream, and Luce is still alive. Luce's Mega Beam Cannon ended up not firing. Now they are concerned that their trump card is out the door. Don't get too much sleep, boys. The red alert is going up. It's time to launch. Just like before, Luce asks to launch with the Mega Beam Cannon. Miyu tries to stop him, but Kilstein once again takes the risk. Luce tells Ford not to lose his cool out there. I believe Luce saying this is the branch in the timeline. This is also what Luce told him in the main timeline as a voice in Ford's head. The two launch. Ford draws the Aksaku away as Luce charges the beam cannon. Luce takes aim at the Chevet-class ship. He fires, taking out the Chevet. This time, Ford successfully lures Mallette into a beam blast, killing him. He fires a second shot against Miyu's desires and begins overloading. This time, Ford is able to rush to G4 in time. He rips off the backpack generator before it explodes. Luce survives. After the battle, the team goes to Compe Island because Luce took out the team and Mallette was taken down. Their job on the moon is done. In this version, they don't get assigned to escort Prime Minister Darchia. This time, they are assigned to Operation Star 1. They are heading to Abawaku. Revel's fleet is taken out by the solar ray fired by Giran. The 16th watched half their fleet go down in front of their eyes. Ford is panicking a little in the hangar, and Luce thinks it is fear. In this version, Ford never had that moment of fearing death, and since Luce is alive, he is still stubborn and cocky. Kilstein briefs the team. The 16th are going to work with the 4th team to open up a route to Xeon's homeland. I wonder if this is the immortal 4th. G4 and G5 will open up a hole while the gun cannons run support. Because he risked his life to save Luce, Ford is now liked by the gun cannon team. They respect him now for his bravery. The attack on Abawaku begins. A Dolos-class ship approaches the 16th. A Dolos, take it in, boys. You don't see that too often. This means that it is none other than Carius and Anna Velgato. Where's Kelly Leisner? Also, besides this Dolos and Caecilius Dolos, there was one called the Mindolo, which is the only other one that hasn't been shown. I bet it's from one of the games. Ford uses his Gatling gun and Dakas. Izaku almost destroys the Thoroughbred Bridge, but a gun cannon comes in to save the day. The gun cannon team fights against a red Gelgoog pilot. It just so happens to be the Crimson Lightning himself, Johnny Ryden. Johnny takes out one of the gun cannons and bails. Bye, Johnny. Always good seeing you. Sucks to be that one gun cannon pilot. The gun cannon team says, wow, who is that? He is so cool. He should have his own series or something. Ford is rushing in and not staying with the team. They run into a pair of Begros, which are moving at insane speeds. I wonder if one of these Begros are Kelly. One gets an attack on Ford, but he's able to get behind one Begro and take it out. It'd be crazy if Kelly died in this timeline. Ford might have just stopped Stardust's memory from happening. The remaining Begro fires its Mega Beam Cannon, taking out the Gundam's beam rifle. The mobile armor grabs the Gundam with its claws. He does what Tokuwan did to Amado, where he makes the Gundam take a bunch of G-forces to the face, trying to make him pass out. But it doesn't work, and he begins grappling with the mobile armor. The Begro begins tearing off the Gundam's limbs. But Ford is merely a distraction. Luce aims his beam cannon and fires on the mobile armor. In his last act, the Begro pilot fires his hyper beam cannon. We get a fake out where Luce thinks Ford dies, but he's fine. The Gundam is wrecked, however. His thrusters are still working, so he still wants to fight. Pass him a beam rifle. A Musai explodes and rams into the Thoroughbred. They have portside damage, but navigation is still functioning. Can't say the same for White Base. After Giran's death, Xeon's command spirals, and the Federation gets the upper hand. White Base falls. Ken Betterstadt and his team from the Lost War Chronicles is on Abawaku. He takes aim. He has the ability to get a cheap shot on Ford, but he doesn't as he realizes this war is over. Ford and Luce return to the Thoroughbred. Their mission is complete. And that will conclude Mobile Suit Gundam Space to the End of a Flash. I really enjoyed this story, though the villain left much to be desired. I suppose in a video game, Mallette's strength probably shows more than this manga. I really enjoy the what if story and would like to see more. I assume the game allows for multiple endings and this mangaka's just like, screw it, let's do them all. Also, there was another chapter at the end, which followed the Nightmare of Solomon, Anna Velgato. It simply shows him taking out a few gems, a ball, and eventually a Magellan-class ship before he returns to his ship. However, this is still a part of the what-if story. His Dolos goes down in the original, but here it survives. Now that we have finished this series, we can finally return to the Slave Wraith team. And Missing Link, we finally get to see Gundam Pixie in action once again. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember, Johnny Ryden came into the story just to murder one of the side characters. What a jerk. Peace.